Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Heather, Matt, and Mike. Good way to start the morning. Our first order of business is to discover what's in our mugs. We've got 5 mugs up here with mystery liquid. Do we drink them, you guys? There's vodka. Am I allowed to make that joke? Well, great. I am thrilled to be up here with 4 brilliant marketers here in the Twin Cities, Friends of Collective Measures. I'm Allison Bach, and I'm the co-president, managing director of Collective Measures. And I'm going to hand over the microphones right now and let these 4 individuals introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Andrea Ferber. I head up marketing for Back to Nature Snacks. We're a natural organic, trying to break into mainstream snack brand based here in Minneapolis.
I'm Chris Wong. I'm the Director of Marketing for Renewal by Anderson. We're a window company in the Twin Cities.
Morning, everybody. I'm Todd Allard. Have my own practice as a fractional CMO. Have been a 4-time CMO through a number of different companies and then started my career in the advertising agency world.
Are we sharing? Wrestling? Good luck. Hi, everyone. I'm Tom Nowak. What to tell you? I spent the first 20 years of my career at ad agencies, so working at Fallon and Wyden Kennedy and a dumb little startup that we did because we were young and stupid called One and All. Better brand of beef, makes burger better. Culver's. I know you remember it. And then about 10 years ago, I moved client side. I went to Best Buy as their first chief creative officer during sort of a period of big period of transformation for the brand. And for the last 6 years or so, I was the CMO at Evereve and modernizing the marketing function, elevating the look and feel of the brand, and growing that customer base. And I guess I would say, I don't know if I am the oldest, but I certainly look the oldest. I would say, so the role I'll play on this is old school marketing guy who sort of has a back to basics philosophy, but has learned a fair number of new tricks along the way.
I think you're underselling it. You're the better brand of beef person? You're a better brand of beef makes a Butterburger better?
Yes.
I've known you for a long time. I've never known that. This is going to be weird, but I say that like multiple times.
Craig Culver, Tom Nowak.
Yeah, I
like
love
that.
Culver's, Wisconsin. Well, great. We'll dive right in with a great foundation of who each and every one of you are and how we feel about Culver's burgers. Today's speakers talked about how modern consumer journeys are characterized by behaviors like streaming, scrolling, searching, and shopping. How are you evolving your marketing strategies to ensure they engage consumers at the right touch points? How are you doing it now? How have you done it for brands in the past?
I think I'm starting this
Let's
one,
do it.
so I'll talk a little bit about. I love the thought that Heather shared about designing for influence, because that's a lot of how we're now approaching how we stand out from the crowd. I worked with a client who has a relationship with one of the MLS soccer teams, and as part of that relationship, there's an in-kind sponsorship that we provide back to the team. And they just wanted to sell us the usual suspects. Here's your logo on the wall or some kind of fun contest within the experience of the game to affix your name to. And we said, you know what, we're a technology company. We really want to do something that's a little bit more immersive and something that can really reflect on who we are and what we do. So we proposed to them not putting our logo on the wall, but actually creating an immersive LED tunnel outside the stadium that as fans walked into the game, they could be exposed to what happened at practice that week or who were some of the players on the team and what was interesting about them, and then attach our brand to that experience. And so really kind of thinking about how we design who we are to explain what we do and leave that impression with our would-be clients instead of just a logo on the wall that's nothing more than awareness.
Yeah, a great example for sure. Chris, you look like you've got something to say.
Okay. I got a mic. I should use it here, right? Okay. By the way, I'm a huge fan of your work at Culver's. For us, it's interesting looking at the chart and seeing the dotted line connecting everything. I don't think there is a line, a dotted line. I start to think about purchase journeys. I go and consider a purchase I just made, right? So, and a lot of our strategy has been around kind of being everywhere all at once. So when people are, whatever part of their purchasing journey they're in, we're there. And I think one of the cooler things we've done, I know the trade desk is in the room, but is connecting direct mail to our direct mail list, our direct mail customers to a digital experience. So we're ingesting our mail list into the trade desk, and then when our direct mail is hitting homes, they're getting other digital cues when they're doing that. So even if they're not in the market or they throw it in the trash, they're still seeing our brand, and our goal is really to get the multiple touch points for action.
So you guys are all fans of Culver's. I'm a fan of Evereve, so thank you. So I think, and they talked about design for influence, I'm a snack food brand, and think about how much time you spend before you make a decision on what type of cracker you want to buy. It's very different than making a decision on what type of window you want to buy. So I think it really starts with your consumer and understanding how, what is their journey to get to purchase of a snack versus a purchase of a beauty product or a car. So the way that, and I was really happy to see this, screaming, strolling, searching applied to the funnel, because I still use the funnel as kind of a filter in making sure that, okay, if we're using influencers, how are we showing up? We're driving awareness on media, how are we showing up? And then how do we bring the consumer all the way through to the store? So if you walk into Whole Foods, you have a similar experience with the brand that you had when you were on social, so that you pick us up off the shelf. It's not a very engaged purchase, and you're not spending a lot of time thinking about it. We're often not on your list. So the moment of truth is when you walk in the store, or you're on your phone making your list or ordering your grocery delivery, that you choose Back to Nature instead of Ritz crackers. So I really think it starts with understanding your category, your consumer, and how they're thinking about and how engaged they are in that purchase.
We'll move along. Consumer insights are critical to strong marketing strategies. Can you share an example of an insight your team has leveraged in the last year or in the last 5 years that's evolved the marketing efforts of the brands that you've worked with?
Yeah, I can speak to that. At Evereve, we didn't do a ton of research, but when we did it, it mattered. So this isn't necessarily new research, but it holds true. This was a research report that was done before I got there, but it was talking to Evereve's best customers and those customers who are maybe on the fence about Evereve. And we were just trying to understand, why does she choose Evereve? When did she choose Evereve? Just what is the relationship? How does she think about us? And the thing that came screaming through, and maybe we knew this at a certain level, but was that our customer, we sell fashion, but our customer is not a fashionista. And what I mean by a fashionista is somebody who is actively participating in fashion. She is reading Who, What, Where or Refinery. She is interested in the new design trend. She's reading up on what's going on with denim silhouettes. She is actively involved because it's interesting to her. It's almost a hobby. But for the most part, that is not the Evereve customer. The Evereve customer cares about fashion. She wants to show up looking modern, relevant, contemporary, but she does not have time to be spending trying to figure all this stuff out. And so the role Evereve plays is to be a curator of the things she needs for her life, which means we really need to know her life well, but to also have a moment where we're kind of teaching her what to do with this stuff. So, You know, I think it's always been confusing. I think fashion has always been intimidating. And now, you know, now with fast fashion, it used to go from a fall show and a spring show. Now you have all these drops, so designers have to now add on pre-fall and resort, and now there's all the micro trends on. So, I mean, the amount of information and the speed of change has gotten that much faster over the last few years, which makes the relationship Evereve has in kind of being a guide through all that more important than ever. So based on that research and what she needs from us, we take a lot of time to think through a point of view on, okay, what do you need to know? You're coming in, what do I need to wear? How do I wear it? So we will make sure you understand. And it can feel a little paint by numbers to some people, but I think making it simple is good. It's like, all right, this fall, it's this denim trend. And if with that denim trend, if it's a wider leg, you know, it really changes how you have to think about your footwear, right? Because it's a little different than your skinny jeans were. And okay, on top now, how do I balance that out? Like, what does that mean from? So it all becomes very much of an outfitting, education, and styling experience. And I think that how-to piece is such a power of the brand. It's why we started Evereve TV. And Evereve TV is just social videos that are our crew, our employees, who are talking about what's new, what's interesting, brands you need to know, how to wear it, stuff for certain occasions. We run those on social. Those also go on the website. And we know when people watch them on the website, conversion goes up, AOV goes up, and we bring them into our stores, and it's like another salesperson on the floor. So I think the research was, don't forget that you need to be a guide. These people are looking for education, and they're looking for somebody they trust. And there's a lot in social being talked about authenticity, authenticity this, authenticity that, and that's not wrong, but I think we forget a little bit about how important authority can be. And so what we do is we're going to do it in an authentic way, but we want to own authority. We want her to trust that we know what we're talking about, and if she's coming in confused, she's looking for answers, she can trust that we're going to be able to set her straight.
Want me to go? With the work that I do, I end up working mostly with mid-market companies, and a lot of them are B2B. Most of my career has been spent with B2C clients and large companies. So I was actually quite surprised by what I'm seeing from B2B clients. Most of them are actually moving, these are the buyers now, are moving in a direction that would have them making decisions more like they would in their own lives than even what they're doing from a professional perspective. There was a study that was done by Salesforce a couple years ago that highlighted that of these customers that were all B2B buyers, 80% of them had decided that it was really the experience that they have with their client that is the most important in terms of the relationship that they have versus the products and the services that they offer. And 82% of them were also willing to move for a better customer experience than they were experienced. And then I got to see that play out as I continued to work with one of my clients as I was interviewing all of their best customers. One of the things I found that, again, kind of along these lines, was that the most important thing about what we've offered to them, or the value that they found, was the relationship that we had with them. It wasn't the products, it wasn't the speed, it wasn't the value that we offered or the price that our services cost. It was the nature of the relationship that we had and the extension of their team that we became. And that actually led to a much deeper loyalty that we had with those customers, and we effectively, again, became an extension of their team. And then that customer tended to want to advocate for us with other companies that we weren't yet working with. So just surprising to me, again, to see the movement of B2C and the impact of B2C marketing on everybody's experience in life, and now ascribing that to what they do at work.
So I joined the Back to Nature brand 2 years ago. We acquired it from another food company. And it's a brand that's been around since the 60s. It was owned by Kraft. They spun it off, and then it got acquired by another food company, and then we acquired it. And when we took over the brand, we only took over the brand, no people. So it was like, what do we do with this business that was declining rapidly and losing distribution? I went on a learning journey for the first couple months to understand, why are people buying this brand and why aren't people buying this brand? So we have some really big customers and relationships in the natural organic space, but we didn't know why consumers were buying us and why they, at that moment of truth when you're off the shelf, why would they pick up us versus another product? And at the time, the brand was positioned as plant-based, and we're cookies and crackers, and inherently are plant-based. So it was not, as Tom talked about authenticity, it was not a very authentic message, and it was not ownable. So we took a huge risk with the business and completely flipped it on its head, rebranded, and relaunched it this year. What we could have taken baby steps to get where we wanted to go, but we felt like at this point in our journey, because we were losing so much so quickly, we needed to make a big leap. And it was understanding our consumer and what we wanted to stand for that helped me feel confident that we were heading in the right direction. It's not easy, we're still in the midst of it, but we heard from consumers that how important taste is, and yet we were just shouting functional benefits. We had no personality. We had nothing that was authentic about us. And so it really started with understanding our consumer and our new consumer target and how we could evolve the brand to get us to a point where we are today, which is something that we can build on over the next 5-10 years and have something that's ownable and meaningful to consumers today versus where we were before.
Is it okay if I ask for audience participation? Okay, so raise your hand if you got a survey from a company in the last 7 days. Keep it up, last 72 hours, 48 hours, 24 hours. Okay, you guys get the point. Everybody's getting surveys, right? Who works for a company that sends out surveys? Interesting. Okay. So this is one where when you're looking at consumer insights, I find the consumer survey at different journey points is key to us. Who fills out every survey they get? All right. Once you start utilizing that data, you will. Anybody fill out a survey on YouTube? So you don't have to watch an ad? Okay, I see a couple. So consumer insights, there's different touch points for us. So did they interact with us calling in to schedule an appointment? Did they have somebody from our company come out to their home, visit, and give them a quote on their house but not purchase? We call them not yet buyer surveys. We have so post-sale surveys, install surveys, and if we have service on a product, we have service surveys. I said that is a lot of surveys. And what really helped us tie all this together is finding a partner that could gather the data in those surveys and make it digestible and searchable. And then taking this information and acting on it, creating, from a marketer's standpoint, you start to learn what people don't like about those not yet buyer surveys are key. Everybody in our company really tends to focus on grumpy customers. So you tend to go there first, but then it's going and finding out why people are happy. I was thinking about the snacks. I love snacks. I'm going to literally go out and try some. The taste is important, and I think in marketing we get focused on maybe what the package looks like or how we're communicating to the customer, but finding out really what is driving a purchase decision or an unpurchased decision or hang up on scheduling the appointment because it took so long. But I'm going to take 5 minutes out of my day to send a survey. Anybody collect reviews? Okay, I see one. Thank you. She's been participating the whole time. Yeah. Thank you. Appreciate it. Reviews is another place where if Best Buy is a good one. I shop in reviews, right? When you're seeing negative reviews, what are you doing? How are you responding? What are you changing in your messaging and your marketing? I work at a direct response marketing arm of our company. So we do branding if it makes the phone ring. If it doesn't make the phone ring or a web conversion, we're not doing the branding there. So what that means is every marketing action I have has an ROI, right? So every time we spend money on a marketing vehicle, we look at how many customers come in, and it's down to the dollar of what we did last week, last month, this year. So taking these consumer insights, tweaking our marketing, and seeing ROI changes on our marketing dollars, I think is key. And then finding the right place to test those insights. So if I'm seeing we're getting customer insights coming in on a path to purchase. So we're seeing the reviews, we're tweaking something in marketing, and then trying to figure out where to test it. So I might be more of an older school marketer up here. Yes, we do print. Yes, we do linear television. But really, where we test it has to be the quick, actionable places. So where can we get the quickest insights as soon as possible and get the customers to engage with us? Anybody know where that is? No? Social media. So throwing it out there, I get lots of impressions, and if they hate it, guess what they do? They let you know. They let you know right there. This is the worst ad I've ever seen. Go find something else, right? They will tell you. So I think finding the place to gather the information, whether it's a survey, whether it's looking at your reviews online, or whether it's taking a tactical execution of a testing platform like Meta, throwing your creative out there, throwing your messaging out there, throwing your offers out there, and then listening for what your consumers are saying, going back, refining, testing, making it better. That's kind of the big one for us. So,
You take every survey that you get sent?
I'm really militant about it, yes.
I believe it.
I felt really bad. I got a YouTube one the other day, and I had to answer none of the above, and I felt really bad as giving like a negative. They can't do anything with that answer.
That speaks volumes about you, Chris. Do you manipulate the results so that you know that it doesn't like grow and grow as you take the survey? Like sometimes if you give like survey feedback, then like the survey starts to like snowball because they want more and more. Are you like methodical about your responses?
When they say it takes a minute or two of your time, they're lying.
Yeah, they
I'm just
are.
going to throw that out there. It never takes a minute or two. And if you, and all right, so I'll get into a real tactical one. So with our surveys, people have a part where they can type. So raise your hand if you filled out a survey. Get them up there. Raise your hand if you've typed like a paragraph of information in that open box.
Never.
Were you happy or sad or angry when you did that, right? Usually when you're getting that written, typed out response, you've invoked an emotion in your customer. Those are the good ones to read.
Do you leave reviews on all the purchases that you make?
A lot of them.
Good and bad?
Yep. I shop in reviews. Like I said, I just bought this watch at Best Buy, and I was ripping through reviews looking to
And how great are those like little AI summaries of reviews?
I start there.
Yeah,
and
me
then
too.
I go look for the 5s and the 1s, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
yeah. Why didn't they like the product? Is that going to be my problem too?
Yeah. And was this a bot?
Yeah.
Like who wrote this? Yeah. Okay. We're all human at the end of the day. Weird human marketers. Next question. How is your organization approaching AI? AI is artificial intelligence. I've heard a lot about it. What surprised you the most on brands that you've worked with, good and bad, about initial use cases? Or perhaps, hey, we haven't done anything with AI yet.
I'll start on that. I'm working with, again, a client who's in the technology business, and I was actually quite surprised how far behind we were as an organization in terms of our understanding and application of AI. But then I've realized that that's kind of where most companies are at. Everybody thinks that everybody else is far ahead of them, and they're playing catch up, when in reality, nobody's figured this out. And everybody's still trying to kind of capture and use AI the best way to drive their business, or at least get it to a place where it's really driving. And The other thing that has been surprising to me, again, working with mid-market companies, I hear a lot from a marketing perspective, well, that's good enough. Meaning we just need something done to get it out into the marketplace so that we can see if it works. And I think the default in a lot of those settings is going to be, well, AI is going to give me the creative answer, and I'm just going to put that into the marketplace. And AI knows what it knows, right? So it's largely, I think, going to draw everybody to the middle, and it's going to lead to a lack of distinction between brands and company offerings more than it leads to any kind of differentiation. So I'm again, surprised by that.
That thought about it, everything going to the middle. So I was here at the U 6 months ago, for something. And they were sharing some research, and I think it's Jason Chang, professor here, apologies. And he was talking about some work he had just done on, and this is AI just in using an LLM. And he looked at, it was having to do with marketing messaging and what was effective or not effective. And he had 4 groups. He had people who were non-writers, however you want to think of that, right, who wrote some copy. He had 9 writers, he had non-writers who used AI. He had professional writers, whatever that means, who used AI. And he had professional writers who did not use AI. And what he found was, sort of not surprising, the non-writers who were just writing on their own did the worst. If they used AI, they got better. That makes sense. But what was interesting, I don't know if it's surprising, but it was interesting was writers who did not use AI did the best. And writers who used AI did third best in that group. And there weren't any implications or conclusions, but I think it was just, hey, if you're a pro writer and you know what you're doing, you might have it said in a different way or with a little flair or a little something different with a little spark. And AI might give you something a little more generic. So I do think there's some truth to that can bring things down. You know, AI is like a tough thing to talk about because it's across so many different things. But for this group, you know, if we want to go in more and more about all the cool things it can do, and but I think the thing we all have to remember is AI can't do anything unless it has good data. So certainly at Evereve's come a really long way. And I think this room is probably all over the place. There's some people who probably have really cleaned up great data, other people who are still working on it. But you know, if you don't have data that is clean and organized and consistent and accurate, no AI matters. If you don't have a unified view of your customer across stores, across e-com, for us across Transcend, and you can't see that person's interactions as one person, AI doesn't matter. So I think if you can't do a good job of ingesting in a timely way all the different media things that you're doing, and we buy a lot of channels, so I think it's easy enough to hook up in all of your digital marketing, but what do you do with catalogs? Like there are ways, but it's harder. How about out of home? How about TV that's not CTV or digital? So, you know, you want to make sure that if you're doing a lot of different things, you've got to be piping all of those things in. And then I do think AI has an amazing opportunity to, as we talk about these areas of influence, to say, okay, across all these different interactions, different media channels, different engagements across stores or e-com or Transcend, how did that work out? And then you have to have patience because it's going to take a long time to get enough customer information of all those different customers and to start to see what those associations are, those connections. But I do think once those things are done and enough time has passed, it will change everything. Like, it won't be any more last click attribution. You will have a much clearer view about what each of those things is doing, how they're working together, where you should invest more, where you should invest less. So I think the promise of that is great. I think people are already doing it, but I think it's going to take some time for it to take hold.
You took most of my answer. I'm just giving you a little hard time. No,
You talk about surveys.
I did, yeah. I was just say, thank you for bringing up data, because I think that's the overlooked part of AI. You don't use a hammer to change a tire, right? So you have, or you might, I don't know. But I see AI as a toolbox or a toolkit, depending on what you're trying to do, and then trying to figure out how to use AI to solve a problem. If you're sitting out there and you don't use AI for marketing right now, it's okay. Use it every day for everything else. I'll give you a couple examples of how I started using AI, and then I'll translate them to work a little bit. So I don't search the website for recipes anymore. I open up my fridge, I type in the 4 ingredients that I see, and say, make a dinner recipe for 4 out of this. And it makes a recipe. And then I tell it that had not enough salt, or too much of that, not enough of that, and it starts to tailor every recipe after that for me. It somehow has figured out my wife's from Japan, and I'm getting more Japanese-influenced recipes, which is interesting. That's the data in piece of it, right? My wife actually said I made something really good from Japan, which never happened, so that really shocked me. And I told her ChatGPT gave me the recipe. She started laughing. Anybody finish a book series and we're left wanting more? I have ChatGPT write character novels for books that I want to learn more about that character. It's fascinating. Is it great? No. Is it really fascinating and interesting to watch it take a character from a book that I liked and write its own side novel for that character? Yeah. It's a great way to spend some time on the plane while you're waiting for it to take off, right? So you start to use it and you start to understand its greatness, and then you start to see its limitations just in the tools that are out there. From a marketing standpoint, and I hope our competition drags their feet with AI. I hope they're scared. I hope they don't know how to use it or implement it. I see somebody in my that I work with in the back of the room, and I know AI is a big part of what he's going to be working on this year. The question is, how do we beat our competition to utilize AI to grow our business? I feel that this is going to be a key differentiator for companies and marketers. And there's a chart up there that was like the AI scale versus the Murphy scale. I almost think that thing wasn't fast enough up and further forward. There are going to be winners and losers in this space, and there are. The question is, are you going to be the winner or the loser? What are you doing every day to own this space? I talk about how I just use it. Talking about how we're using it at work. The first place, which is an obvious one, an easy one, if you have customers that want to interact with your brand at scale, AI chatbots, AI phone systems work great. I was just at a meeting last week, and they put up interaction with our AI chatbot. The person that scheduled an appointment with us, it said, "Thank you for scheduling the appointment. Do you have any other questions?" And it said, "Yeah, what's your favorite color?" And our AI chatbot replied back, "Green is my favorite color. It's sustainability and energy efficiency, just like the Fibrex in our windows. And it's also the same color of Renewal by Andersen." And the response was, "Damn, that was good." And then our AI chatbot said, "Do you have any other questions?" So it can make you have a place to start to think about where to use it. There's a lot of tools that are just off the shelf. If you have customers at intake, how can you use it? You mentioned Copilot earlier, I think, when we were chatting about over at the table. I don't write emails anymore. Like, I literally throw 3 thoughts into Copilot. It writes my email. I said, "Yeah, it's good enough. Send it." My boss picked up on that recently, and he said, "How do you do that so fast?" I showed him. Now he uses it for writing emails, and we have AI-generated emails going back and forth to each other. I think that's funny. I want to, so those are some places. I want to say beware. If you work in marketing and you get hit up by outside companies you've never heard of, every subject line and every paragraph has AI in it. You know, before you sign up to do anything, do your research. Most of what I'm seeing is not truly AI. It's some sort of modeling that they have internally that they're calling that. So just be aware, be wary of things that are coming in, but make sure you're putting in that test and learn. Again, there's gonna be winners and losers. Just you got to figure out what side on that you're gonna be. Do you want to be the winner or the loser? So.
I think in one of our breakout sessions, there's an AI-powered toothbrush that will debunk a little bit. Speaking of sessions, we have time for one more question. As we wrap it up, what are you most excited about as a marketing leader, leading a brand, leading multiple brands, looking ahead? What are you most excited about in the next year or so?
Okay, I'll start. Thank you. I actually didn't want to answer the AI question. I'm most excited for us, as a brand, this has been a very turbulent year, and I think we're living in a very turbulent world. I walked in, the first conversation I had was about tariffs. I'd really like to get to a point where we're thinking about the consumer and that they don't have so much like stress and burden and turbulence in their lives, and we can get back to like this space of building trust and emotion. I think as a brand, we're trying to find that balance right now of like, there's so much going on in consumers' lives. How do you respect that while also being a marketer and marketing your brand? So I do look forward to hopefully next year and the year, maybe the year after, like things just settling down a little bit more around us. And I think too, tying it back to AI, there's so many questions. It's like the first question that people also ask is about AI, and I'm like, I don't frickin' know. I wish I had an answer, but I don't. All of our partners are getting stronger in that space. I really lean on agency partners to help educate me, and I think they're learning more, and that will start to translate into the work that I'm doing and my team are doing next year. And so I do look forward to some of the just like grunt work that marketing has to do getting taken off of our table, off of our desks, that we can hand over to AI so that we can spend time on like the creative part and the consumer part of it.
I'm gonna say mine's more tactical. I'm really excited about streaming services this year, and I'll tell you why. The data is getting really darn good with the different streaming platforms and the different partners that we work with. And if you didn't read about it, for the first time ever, streaming services surpassed broadcast and cable television for hours watched, and that was about 60 days ago. And looking at, yeah, I saw that's the face I made when I saw it too. And that has me really excited because I feel like we've hit like critical mass with people and getting that curated experience on their devices of what they want to watch for entertainment right at the exact same time that the data is getting good enough to make really educated, smart decisions to see that ROI back at us. So I'm super excited for that remainder of this year, next year.
Cool. My previous comments notwithstanding, I think what I'm most excited or looking forward to is the creative aspects of AI. My friend Tim Brunel, for those that have had the good fortune to see him talk about AI and where AI is going, talks about AI being the great democratizer of creativity. Whereas before, somebody who had a creative idea had to rely on somebody that could draw or write to bring that idea to life. Now that person can sit down and, through AI tools, bring their own thinking to life. And so again, it has that effect of democratizing creativity. And then for the real creative experts, being able to move to a space where they're literally speaking content into existence. That's Tim kind of on his farthest out projection. But that sounds like a really interesting world and one that moves incredibly fast, to your point of the line actually maybe going back the other direction. So I'm looking forward to seeing that.
One of the questions originally on there was the challenge. I'm going to spin that to the opportunity. But I think the challenge has been focus, because there's so many new technologies. There's so much around AI. There's so much to know that that it's easy to sort of lose focus on what you're trying to accomplish from a marketing strategy standpoint, to forget what your business objectives are, and to remember these are all tools to do that. I think it's easy to get pulled down to the tools. And by the way, a lot of the executive team is going to pull you down into tools because they read something. Like, what do we? So I think that's been kind of the hardest part, is there's this FOMO on digital, and we lose the forest for the trees sometimes. It's like, okay, let's talk that through, but let's talk through how it's actually helping us accomplish what it is we really need to do. So I would say the thing I'm looking forward to is I do feel like the conversation has netted out back in the middle, that AI is going to do a lot of this, right? So media optimizations, we talked about how it's going to be for attribution. That's already happening. You know, Meta ASC, Performance Max, the way your product catalog feed is being optimized, all that stuff is already happening. In creative, the work that I would call sort of volume and velocity, that's conversion-centric. That's about reading signals of demand that's out there and bringing it in. When Mark Zuckerberg says, just give me your business objective, give me your budget, and we'll take care of the rest, that is absolutely going to happen. But I do think there's going to be a different kind of creative, and we are hearing people say, like, okay, but all this performance marketing, at a certain point, we hit a plateau. And the reason people are hitting a plateau is because performance marketing goes out and sees what buyers are out there right now. It finds current demand, and it does an amazing job of pulling that demand in. But it's, and there's enough that it's going to be really good for a while. But once you've cut down all the trees, if you haven't planted any seeds or reforested at all, you're screwed. And so I think we're seeing a lot of performance marketing driven brands starting to take a more balanced view. So I see it being a rational conversation again, a really great thing. And I am super bullish on AI, yes, for all the marketing stuff, but some of the most interesting applications I've seen are like consumer research using synthetic data. You know, there's a company called Evidenza, and you know, they basically create AI-generated dupes of your customers, of your best customers. Like it's like a lookalike audience, and you could just do focus groups back and forth with it, ask them questions. It's great. Like, that is already here. That's coming faster. I think, you know, we're all marketers, but behind the scenes, like, think about what AI learning is going to do for inventory management and demand management. Like, here's how much we're seeing out there. People are interested. Here's the browsing we're seeing. Here's how many we've sold. These are the sizes we have left. Real time, do we need to order more? Do we have to have less? Should this go on sale? So that you will maximize how much clothing you brought in, your inventory, you will save a lot of waste, profitability will go up. Like, that as a sort of back of the office tool is going to be absolutely amazing. And the thing I know we're all hearing right now, but retailers are going to have the same thing, is in the same way as I can see how many people are shopping, what they're browsing, how many we have left, we're going to start to see dynamic pricing. So it's like, okay, that top that I saw yesterday, it might have just gone up by $2 because now we only have a handful left, and I know there's a bunch of, you know, so in the same way the airline industry does this for seats, we're going to start to see that across all of our businesses. And again, that is only going to help with profitability. So, you know, I think we're going to let AI do the things that AI can do, and it's going to be a lot. But there still will be a place for craftsmanship. You know, letting the robots run with creative for conversion-centric volume and velocity is going to be great. But to build brand equity, awareness, salience, emotion, engagement, computers will probably be able to do it at some point, but it's going to be a while. And there still will be a need for the art of that in marketing to go along with the science that everything else is happening. And it might actually make it easier to let AI do what it can do, and we can focus on the stuff that maybe has more impact for the brand long term.
Fabulous. Please join me in a round of applause for our incredible panelists.